Following the withdrawal of British forces from the Australian mainland in 1870, and with recurring fears of possible invasion by especially Russia, the Volunteer Defence Force, the 3rd Queensland Regiment, more commonly called the Kennedy Regiment, was raised in North Queensland in 1886. The Defence Report 1887 to 88 recommended the land behind Kissing Point be reserved for defence purposes, and the area known as Norman Park, an area of about 12 acres, was reserved for defence purposes. The area became known as Jazeen Barracks following World War II, being named after the Battle of Jazeen in Palestine in July 1941, which involved the 2nd 31st Battalion, 25th Brigade, 2nd AIF. The barracks was used extensively during World War II by both Australian and American forces. In fact, during World War II, the American 5th Air Force was raised in Townsville. This formation operated a number of bases at Townsville, while it also had a logistics unit at Charters Towers. The US 5th Air Force also erected a memorial at Kissing Point to commemorate their foundation here in Townsville. A new administrative and training complex was opened at Kissing Point in 1964. The new barracks, known as Jazeen Barracks, were officially opened by the Governor Sir Henry Abel Smith on Saturday the 31st of October 1964.
Grandfather Dick and the rest of the member of the people were moved to Hull River Mission before Palm Island ever got established as an Aboriginal reserve. Grandfather Dick made a message stick, and the importance of that message stick was to, as a passport into other people's tribals' country. Now they were removed from Palm Island to go up to Mission Beach, Juru country, or which one, Mission Beach? Juru mob, yeah. And my grandfather had to ask permission from them. And he sent that message stick, he went with that message stick to let them know that they were coming into the country. And on that message stick is the markings. And the message stick is like a passport for him to go, come up to go into their country, then wait for a while and come back to their tribal home, Greater Palm Island. And that's when Palm Island became established as an Aboriginal reserve.
They installed 2 searchlights in big concrete emplacements. One was close to the rock pool, just a little bit up the side of the cliff, and the other one was round the other side, not too far from the present site of the Army Museum. And those searchlights were there to protect the fort against the encroachment by, to use a word, by midget submarines. The searchlights every night as the sun went down, this is at dusk, when it was almost completely dark, the searchlights would sweep the bay. They were mounted low down, not far above the water, so that when they swept over the sea, if the enemy were coming in to sink ships at night or lay mines or something like that, they would have to get in very early, do the job, and then get out while it was still dark and get well away while it was still dark. That's why it was expected if they were coming, they'd be coming as soon as it got dark. There were 2 at Kissing Point, so they all used to sweep around for about half an hour looking for periscopes or whatever. In 1939, at that time, apart from the 2 guns at the top and the underground magazines for the shells, and there was nothing really there. No huts, no buildings, nothing. When the war started, suddenly it became a permanent garrison guarding the port. One of the things we would delight in doing would be to climb the cliff face. I had a look at the cliff face yesterday, and I said to myself, crikey, did I climb up there? But of course we were bulletproof and armour-plated, as 10-year-olds are.
Yeah.
Scratch around in the sand hoping to find a live round, but never lucky enough for that. And another thing about it too, near the end of the camp, the whole of the brigade was marched down to the strand, and in the sand dunes that were beside the road at the time, and they used to lie down in the sand dunes with their 303 rifles and machine guns, and they used to fire at targets that were anchored about 100 yards off the beach. And sort of oil drums with flags on the top of them or something like that, anchored there. And they blaze away there for about 2 or 3 hours, to the delight of all the kids around the place, including, guess who?
So it must have been at one particular time, I believe, there was a huge watercourse there in the Belgian Gardens Kissing Point area where, you know, our people probably would have been a rich source of food, not just fish, but, you know, all the other ducks and all the other food that saltwater people like. So in those documents, you know, we saw photographs of some of those old schooners or luggers, whatever they call them, the old boats that were all parked in the Kissing Point area, Belgian Gardens. And and also some of the documents I've read is that Kissing Point was one of the areas where the other mob from different tribal groups would come there and meet, you know, in their canoes. Maybe they had trade, but certainly there was always a trading route going to Nawaji country and to Munbra country. So they were using canoes all the time, so they must have had a place where they had to meet. I would suggest that area around Kissing Point, Belgian Gardens, is a very rich cultural site for at least the Walgarookaba people.
It was close to Kissing Point, and of course, as kids do in school holidays and any other time you got a chance, you roamed around the countryside looking at this and looking at that and looking at everything else. And one of our favourite scrambling places was the Kissing Point cliffs and the beaches around there. And up on top of the hill was a very special sort of a place where nobody was allowed to go. It was like some sort of magic place. It had a big iron fence around it, iron pickets. It was a military area. From time to time, the 11th Brigade used to camp at what we now call Jazine Barracks, and several thousand troops there. They had I think it was a fortnight camp, and they trained around the place. And there were 2 artillery pieces. I think they were 6-inch artillery pieces up on top of that hill, and round about during the time of this camp, they used to fire shells out into Cleveland Bay, and that was always very interesting. And from our place, about I suppose a kilometre from the top of the fort there, we would see the big flash at first and a puff of smoke, and then you'd count the number of seconds, about 8 seconds or something, before you heard the bang. And at the same time, you'd be looking out into the bay to see the splash where the shell went in.